Hello there everyone, Common Wolf from here together with Joey from Gamexplain, Nintendaan and Stealth40k, who you know very well from Twitter, to talk about the Nintendo Direct if E3 2022 took place. So E3 didn't happen just like in 2020, and the question is, what could we have seen in a regular presentation? And more importantly, when can we expect a regular presentation? So, are we missing E3?
I'm missing E3 a lot. Love the scheduling of E3 way more than I do the scheduling of whatever the heck this summer game season thing is.
Yeah, we just want one proper Direct that will, in many ways, bring a balance to the force. So we just have both the first parties and the third parties and the indies. So, Nintendaan, when do you think we'll see something more than Persona 5 Royale, Nier Automata, Mario + Rabbids, and No Man's Sky?
With Splatoon 3 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it's been really weird because they basically announced both dates on Twitter. Which means they didn't have any major plans for the foreseeable future because they're just like, we already have Xenoblade for the end of July and we have Splatoon 3 for the first week of September. I don't think we really need anything else. See you later. Bye.
I agree that we're not going to hear about another Nintendo Direct until September. The last 5 years, I think even longer, they've had a Direct in September. So I mean, you can pretty much count on that. The same way you can count on a Direct in June. So I think we're going to see something in September.
My take on the September Direct is that we could see a Direct as soon as Thursday, September 1st, but if they want to have a Direct before Splatoon 3. I think that is the perfect timing. You get to cover Splatoon one more time before release, and also are able to focus on those third-party games around a month before they are releasing, and also announce the games that are coming out in December and November and late September, apart from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, obviously.
Yep, and that's not a coincidence there, but yeah, and the rumored Metroid Prime remake, if that's real.
If we had a general Direct in June, as say last year in 2021, most of the stuff we're mentioning now would have been in that presentation, including possibly even Pokemon, because Pokemon showed up in with the new generation back in 2019 with Sword and Shield. So that is quite possible, actually, the way I see it. And another thing I think could have showed up there could have been Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, but since that will most likely become Wave 2 will be coming out in August for the 30th anniversary of Mario Kart, I think that announcement is just going to be a YouTube upload, or maybe a... So, Stealth, what do you think is the path forward for especially Mario Kart, since Wave 2 is likely going to be in August?
When I thought that the Direct in June was going to be like a general Direct with first-party announcements, I mean, I would have bet on the second wave being announced then. Now it's looking like it's coming later than I thought. Probably, as you mentioned. I'm really curious if some of those data mine stages are going to actually come in. But yeah, it's coming a lot later than I thought.
Yeah, the thing about this Wave 2 is that, or the waves in general, is that they seem to be every 4 months. And they are pretty much the new Smash announcement. So if we had a regular Direct, I would have seen it like a start opening, replacing the Smash reveal. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, if the general Direct started with Mario Kart and then moved on to... We all know that the pictures and so on, screenshots from that game got leaked. It's just a question of time before the game gets revealed. So the question is, do you think we would still have seen the Fire Emblem Direct in the June Direct, or do you think we would have to wait into September no matter what because of Warriors 3 Hopes?
I think because of 3 Hopes, I think they would have waited a little bit longer to announce it. And I honestly think that it would have been in the September one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of leaning toward them waiting as well, although, Nintendo has been known to bring up, multiple games in the same series and directs, third party too. So I don't see that so much as an issue, but them wanting Three Hopes, which is technically a side game to get all the attention. And the rumor is that, the next main Fire Emblem game, which, was heavily rumored, screenshots have been out there, that it's been done for over a year. I'm not trying to necessarily believe that, that they could just literally announce it whenever they want and it'd be released pretty much whenever they want. I do think they would probably wait until September, and then that game I don't think would release until next year.
Yeah, it seems more and more like it, especially with how the lineup has just been stacked. This is quite an interesting situation we're in right now, because December could be everything from a Metroid Prime remake to even a Zelda remake and a new Fire Emblem. So Joey, what do you think we're gonna end up with in December?
In December? That's a great question. I have no clue. I remember last year we were going to get Advanced Wars Reboot Camp in December, and that didn't happen. Yeah, it still hurts. But that maybe this December would finally be the time to do it. And that would be crazy to think that game went through a year-long delay, and not necessarily entirely because of development reasons.
I think if it does come out in December, it won't be in Europe, because they will say, do major mold events, it's not coming out in Europe in December.
Metroid, because I just don't feel like there's much of an other space unless they decide to delay it to like 2023. But then again, we have Bayonetta 3 that could also be delayed to 2023, because since it didn't show up, yeah, I know the reason why it probably didn't show up is because Nintendo is publishing Bayonetta 3, so it kind of doesn't fit in that third-party mold. Yeah,
and maybe for December, Conrad, you're probably right about Metroid Prime HD remake, whatever it's going to be called, because I was thinking initially before this would be a November game, because the original Metroid Prime came out 20 years ago in November. But then I thought about it. You don't want to release Metroid next to Pokemon. Nuh-uh. You don't want to release most games next to Pokemon, but especially Metroid, because that thing would get destroyed sales-wise. So, yeah, maybe December, or maybe even, I'd say, late November, a bit away from Pokemon. But, yeah, as long as it comes out this year on the 20th anniversary, then that would make me happy. And I think it's way too soon for August at this point. Unless they're totally fine with a quick turnaround on that game.
Yeah, it's a good question, because Nintendo is unpredictable. They could just suddenly 2 weeks from now upload a YouTube video that the remake is coming, or Wind Waker HD is coming, and that's it. But I feel like they want at least like a 2-month build-up maybe for games that have not been announced yet. If they have like that's why I think Advanced Wars could maybe even be announced next month, so in August. While the case for Metroid Prime remake, I think those need a little bit more of a build-up, especially with Metroid Prime, because it is sort of the build-up to Metroid Prime 4, and where it all began. A completely different gameplay style than Metroid Dread. So I think end of the year, most likely reveal in September, and have a short build-up cycle towards the end of the year, and build hype towards that. The only games that Nintendo has to focus on themselves after at least Mario plus Rabbids is out is Pokemon. And Pokemon pretty much covers themselves. The Pokemon Company have their own presents, which they're probably going to have another one of. I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps they have that in August, because we've only had a trailer after the first teaser. So far less than we saw with Pokemon Sword and Shield. I think Metroid is very likely to be the end of the year. But that also brings me towards the question of Prime 4 and seeing that, and the fact that that would most likely be on a new, more powerful Switch hardware model, which has now accelerated again because of the reports of increased internal Nintendo spending on something.
Yeah, I don't even know what Nintendo has planned for the next console. It's not even in my brain space right now because I know they say like I feel like they've been saying for years now that Switch is halfway through its life cycle. But that doesn't necessarily mean like it's only going to be the Switch for 10 years or whatever. Then it moves on to the next thing. No, we're still playing PS4 games, and the PS5's been out for like 3 years almost. So 2 years rather. So maybe Metroid Prime 4 would be at least announced next year. I don't see them talking about it with the Metroid Prime remake.
If Metroid Prime HD or a remake is announced, they're not going to talk about Metroid Prime 4. They might say like, this is the engine, or like this is like the style that you can expect Metroid Prime 4 in the HD version of the first game.
I think Breath of the Wild 2 will start this final chapter of the Switch, which is going to be very hardware focused. And I wouldn't be surprised if actually Bayonetta 3 could also be delayed to 2023 because of this particular reason, which is also why they would limit marketing of said games, because they want to show them beginning from January running at their best. But they also don't want to scare away consumers from buying a Switch or Switch OLED this holiday season.
That's interesting. I would rather they just come out with a brand new system, like no matter how long that takes, because I'm tired of all these new Switch models. I'm just like, my goodness. The time for Switch Pro, or whatever this TV focused model is going to be, the time for that is gone. The time for that was when the Switch OLED came out, and you just made it a prettier screen. The Switch OLED looks nice, but I didn't buy it because I didn't care. I'm just ready for the new... I wouldn't say I'm ready for the new Switch hardware. I'm not dying for it, as I said. It's not even occupying my headspace. But if Nintendo's going to do a hardware upgrade, I'd rather just be their next-gen platform, whatever that's going to be called.
I do think that there might be an upgrade coming. And once again, the 3DS was honestly really bad at that. Because you literally had the original 3DS came out in 2011, and then literally almost a year later, you had the 3DS XL. A year later, you had the 2DS. A year later, you had the new 3DS. So at least what I can say about Nintendo is they kind of are putting in place that 2-year cycle, where the original Switch came out in 2017, then the Switch OLED came out in 2019, and the OLED came out in 2021. So they've been honestly really good upholding the 2-year cycle, so I don't think that at least this year is not the time for new hardware.
Well, not this year, but next year though. Hardware and Zelda goes pretty much together, and they know if they want to showcase something, especially now that they have at that point launched Xenoblade Chronicles 3. After what happened now, and the delay not saying anything about when we will see the game again, I am really unsure if we're going to see it even in September. And we know Nintendo has been skipping the Game Awards, so we might be waiting all the way to 2023.
I think if there is a Direct in September and the game is supposedly releasing March, it has to be there.
Yeah.
It absolutely has to be there. I wouldn't even want to wait for it at the Game Awards. It would have to be at the next Nintendo Direct.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be there too, but I do feel you there, Conrad, because it is like Nintendo does like to do the whole "that makes sense, so we're not going to do it" spiel. So yeah, that's why I'm shaky on that too. But I agree with you both. It has to be there in September Direct. The question is, does Nintendo agree with us?
I think that if they really want to uphold a minimum cycle of say 4 to 6 months, which they've been kind of good about also doing that marketing end of things, they would at least have to show a trailer at the September Direct. If they're really confident that it's coming out in March, it doesn't have to be long. They can focus more of that attention in January and February next year, but they would have to showcase a release date in the September Direct, I feel.
I feel like people are sold on the game almost no matter what. So if you just give people the subtitle and a solid release date, people will be happy about that. And even like in that small bit of footage in like the I'm sorry, this is delayed video, you know, in that footage we saw, like it looks good. Like, you know, I don't know, I feel like they definitely should be able to put together some kind of trailer.
But we also have to realize this is under the assumption that it's coming out in March. If it's not coming out in March, then they have extra time to play with.
Exactly. Because it's spring 2023, and that could be anything from March 21st to pretty much past my birthday, so June 21st.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know if fiscal like years mean anything, but yeah, it doesn't even have to be like
For Nintendo, they do.
I mean, like, yeah, but like, even doesn't have to be exactly March 21st. It could be like early March. That could be considered spring to them. People think March probably because, you know, the original game came out in March and it would make sense, right? But yeah, it could be May
23.
It's a very Nintendo thing to do, to position a game just before the end of their fiscal year. So it could very well be Breath of the Wild 2, but if it's not, then it's clearly something else.
They need to start the marketing before the new year, that's for sure.
Honestly, like, I wouldn't even want it to be like a surprise in the September Direct. I would want it to be where, like, they would tease, like, in the tweet, like a Smash character. Like, oh, in this Direct, you can expect a new Smash character from Sakura. I want it to be like, you can expect a new trailer from Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
Like, I would want it to be pretty prominent. Like, I wouldn't even want that. I would be annoyed, like, if they continued to, like, cat and mouse us a little bit.
Yeah, it is kind of annoying at this point. It's just like, at first we thought we wouldn't be waiting too long for this game, right? It's a reusing assets sequel, right? And now we're waiting for it. At this point, it's going to be 6 years since the first game. So yeah, we're never going to not wait long for Zelda games. It's always going to take a long time between entries.
Yeah, what is ridiculous this time is that we also have to wait so long for the title of the game. It's like, guys, it's been 3 years. We've been waiting for a title for 3 years. Usually Zelda games are out by this time. This is ridiculous.
When did they announce their title for Breath of the Wild?
Wasn't 2 years
that the
after.
E3 2016?
Yeah, it was exactly 2 years after the reveal.
I mean, apparently that subtitle is so incredible and amazing and revolutionary that it would spoil the game.
Yeah, but you have to reveal it anyway before releasing it. So what's the point of waiting?
Yeah, watch. It's not even going to be a spoiler at all for some reason. They'll just
spoiler is something that is in the game, and which you have to play the game to find it, right?
It's going to be called The Legend of Zelda. Zelda dies at the end. Just calling it here.
The Legend of Zelda, the end. All right, I think that sums it up pretty much. I think Zelda has their window, pretty much like Persona 5 had with this partner showcase. Persona delivered. Hopefully Zelda will do that as well. But anyway, thank you to everyone who joined. Joey from Gamexplain, Nintendaan also from Gamexplain, and sometimes here on the channel as well. And Stealth40k on Twitter. Yep.
本日の放送は以上です。ご視聴いただきありがとうございました。